Hey, what's going on, you guys? Today we'll be talking about an incredible story of Joseph Barely, the only American to fight for both the United States and Russian army during World War II. Joseph earned the nickname Jumping Joe during World War II because of him leaping out of planes all the time. Joseph was a member of 101st Airborne's Screaming Eagles. Mr. Byerly was only 20 years old when he parachuted into Normandy, France for the first time, where he was wearing bandoliers packed with gold for the French resistance army. Before more than 5,000 ships landed the Allied troops on the beaches of Normandy, France, in the morning hours of June 6, 1944, some 1,200 planes flew over that land to drop thousands of paratroopers over the Germans. The casualties in this first wave were heartbreakingly high. Remarkably, Joseph survived the drop. He was flying in a Douglas C-47 Skytrain in the night, lit up by German searchlights and anti-aircraft fire. When the plane was hit, Byerly jumped out at the altitude of 120 meters for a hard landing on a church roof in Saint-Côme-de-Mont. Under heavy fire, he bounced down the steep pitch of the roof into a cemetery and set out on his mission, which was to demolish two bridges behind Utah Beach. 3 days later, he crawled over a hedgerow and stumbled into a Nazi machine gun nest, where he was captured toward an American POW staging area with his fellow Americans. At the same time, Allied planes bombarded that area, and Joseph was hit by shrapnel but managed to escape for a few hours before running into another German unit. He never met up with the rest of his troop, but managed to complete several sabotage operations, including blowing up a power station. After his capture, Joseph spent the next 7 months as POW. He was moved through 7 different camps and escaped twice, but both times he was unsuccessful. On the second of these attempts, Joseph and his fellow soldiers boarded a train that they thought was heading for Poland so they could meet up with the Red Army, hoping that mutual interest with the Americans would lead to cooperation, and then with any luck, to his freedom. That train instead delivered them to Berlin, where they were reported and captured by the Gestapo. Gestapo was the official secret police of Nazi Germany in German-occupied Europe. Gestapo insisted that Joseph was an American spy that had parachuted into Berlin. Luckily, the German army intervened, enforcing their jurisdiction over POWs, which the Gestapo at the time did not have. This right here is Joseph's POW file during his first capture. After that, Joseph was then placed in a POW camp in western Poland. Here, Joseph made his third bid for freedom in January 1945. But this time he made it. As he snuck east, the Soviets advanced west, and Joseph ran into a Russian tank battalion in the 1st Guard Tank Army. Now, this is the part where one might start to wonder if this is taken from a Hollywood script or this is a real incredible story from World War II. Joseph, making a desperate bid to return home, meets the female captain leading tanks for the Red Army to avenge her destroyed home, where her husband and entire family were killed during the German invasion. Joseph waved a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes and called out the only Russian words he knew, Amerikansky Tovarish, which means American comrade. Alexandra Samosenko, who was 22 years old, same age as Joseph, she was the only female Russian tank commander, would soon to be convinced by the American soldier she saved to let him fight by her side on their advance to Berlin, to fight Nazi Germany, who was a common enemy for 2 young soldiers in anything but common positions. Joseph spent a month fighting alongside his new battalion. In early February, Joseph was wounded in an attack from German bombers and transported to a hospital in Poland. In the hospital, Soviet Marshal noticed that there's only one American in the hospital, and he came to speak with him and learn his story. He trusted his story and gave official papers to Joseph to relocate and join the US troops. After his speedy recovery in Poland, Joseph hopped into a convoy back to Moscow to seek out the American embassy. Now let's go back to the D-Day. So Joseph's dog tags had been found in Normandy, France, soon after D-Day. His dog tags were worn by a dead German soldier. Joseph's family back in Michigan had been informed of the death of their brave volunteer in September 1944. Needless to say, the American embassy didn't believe Joseph's story, since they already found his dog tags wearing by a German soldier, so they believed that Joseph was already dead long ago. After insisting for a long time, Joseph managed to get the embassy to take his fingerprints, and his identity was indeed confirmed. It was a sigh of relief for Joseph at the time. On April 21st, 1945, Joseph returned home to Michigan, and World War II and his long journey were coming to an end. Fast forward in 1994, to mark the 50th anniversary of D-Day, Joseph was honored at the White House by both US President Bill Clinton and Russian President Boris Yeltsin. For the next 10 years, Joseph received a lot of publicity in both the United States and Russia for his amazing journey and the symbol of cooperation he was for the post-Cold War countries. Joseph passed away in 2004 at the age of 81. During his later years, Joseph traveled to Normandy, France for reunions with the 101st Airborne Division Association. He always visited the graves and paid honor to the thousands of Americans buried there.